song was written. Annie Denver. Just bear up just for a second. You know, in an age of nobody's under more pressure, and gosh, you've done Australia, Alaska, records, recordings, airplane schedules, and all the rest, and your marriage is held up at a time when so many folks find it so difficult. I hate to give you this big roundhouse question, but you know, how do you do it?
It's been hard. You know, John and I have been married for 11 years, and I think it's just been a bit in the last 3 years. I mean, we've always loved each other, and we've had hard times. But that I could really sort of give myself up to what he's doing. For a long time, I felt very threatened by it, and that maybe somewhere down the line he might leave. And to be able to surrender to all of that has been the biggest thing in my life, and things are wonderful, you know?
But you always knew you had so much. I mean, in addition to being attractive, you also have a lot of feelings and you care. Do you know what I mean? That must have helped you when people were knocking you over to get to him. I mean, I assume that's happened to you as a person who's... I mean, if you don't like yourself and you're married to John Denver and you go out in public, you're a goner. They will eat you alive.
No, that was one thing that I had to really get clear about, too, is that I was who I am, and that John picked me for some real special reasons, I think, and that's been the thing that sort of has kept us going, you know, and that we don't live in New York or Hollywood, and that we still have our same set of friends in Aspen, and it's pretty low-key, you know. I think that has a lot to do with it.
I'm sure it does. Well, you really, it's so reassuring to see a wife on the road with her husband in this day and age.
It can be done.
Thank you. Thanks, Annie.
You know, Annie said it was difficult for us, but one of the things that we always had, that we always knew in our love for each other, was a commitment to each other, which is something that I find most absent in the people's lives today, young marriages that break up. It's so easy to get out of. It's so easy to find something else or to change. And to have that sense of commitment to each other and to really be there and to work through those problems, you know, I guarantee you that each time something big comes up in front of you, if you can sit down there and work through that, regardless of whether it's with your mate or with your friends or your business associates, that on the other side of that is something really, really magic. And the magic in my life is my relationship with my wife, Annie, and the love that she gives me, and I couldn't live without her.
But it's so different. It's so different now than when, you know, you must be so different now than when you made that commitment, however many years ago. You know, you were young and in love and all those other things.
Oh, yeah, the growth that goes on is really incredible, and love gets to be a much more expansive thing, you know, than when it's just love and bright-eyed and you're looking for a companionship mostly. Now there's just a whole lot more there.
Were you always a good person for sharing feelings, and you know how some men... You know how they're quiet. I mean, you see, excuse me. You know what I mean? How some.
Yeah. No, John wasn't. And he was raised in a situation too where he had a lot of things done for him. It's sort of like, Ann, would you get me a glass of milk? And he'd be standing by the refrigerator, and stuff like that used to drive me crazy. But it's like he's really, I would say, you know, in 11 years, it's like you grow apart and you grow together and you grow apart. And he's come a long way.
Really?
You know, yes.
He's helped him a lot.
Yes, he changes diapers, and he will now fix something for himself if he's hungry.
You know, there are a lot of good men. I don't mean to make this. There are a lot of good men who can't seem to even give a woman a hand squeeze in public or any of that. How many couples you know who there is no demonstration of affection? I don't mean the showy stuff, but I mean genuine.
He's always been like that. He's always been very affectionate, very sensitive, to the point of being moody sometimes.
Well, yeah, and you know...
And it comes from, I think, stems from his loneliness. He felt a lot of loneliness, I think, as a kid. Yeah. And consequently, he's always been very warm, very affectionate. And it's really so that a lot of men can't share those feelings, and John can say it for everybody, because everybody feels it. They just can't share it.
Yeah, you know, Phil, where you started your question there, it's like I gave so much of myself to people and trying to communicate with people, And I didn't necessarily do that with Annie in the early years of our marriage. One of the big problems we had to work through was communication between each other. Here I said, you know, I thought that I was saying it when I wrote these love songs for her, but that wasn't saying it to her,
Right.
being intimate with her on a, you know, one-to-one level like that. And that was one of the things that I really had to break down and break through, was to have that intimacy with her, you know, aside from whatever was going on and sharing myself with people in music, which actually, you know, it's always been easier for me to share myself really honestly in this kind of a situation than it is for me to share myself one-on-one like that.
Some of the lyrics, especially your mother called last Friday, the sunshine made her cry, the baby moved just yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, we should all have families like that, huh?
Well, you know, that song, there's poetic license there. One is that Annie's mother's sister died of the same kind of disease the lady died in who was in the television show Sunshine on My Shoulders. And so she did call Annie. She had seen the show the night before, and, you know, it just brought all of that back to her. At the same time, in regard to what was going on for Annie and I, and when I wrote the song Back Home Again, Annie and I are unable to have children. And so that part of it was different, but it's still, there's an aspect of humanity there, of something that all men and women share together. You know, the first time you feel that baby move, and isn't that something I mean, that's home, you know? And so in the context of wanting to write this song about being back home again, that was just part of it. And
would it be unfair? Should you suggest that? Is that unfair? I mean, should you do this back home again?
Oh, no, sure. I have to do a little...
If we were in New York, why, this would be cut out of the tape.
All right.
Go ahead.
That's all right.
Go ahead.